Hey, everybody, welcome to the inVOYAGE Vodcast. I'm joined today by Richard Holt of Concepts Collection in South Africa. Welcome, Richard. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, Rich. Yeah, we're fine at this end, thank you. 6,000 miles away in the sunshine, thinking of you guys back in the UK. Happy to be here.
What a start. Oh, my gosh. You got me jealous already. So Richard, you're an Englishman in South Africa. Other than the airplane that got you there, what actually brought you there? Come on, tell us about your path to SA.
Okay, it could turn into quite a soppy little story, this, but I'll start off with the obvious answer. It was pure luck, really. Back in the late 1990s, just after South Africa had come out of apartheid in '94, I got a small contract to come out here and do some consulting work. I've been involved in small business development in the UK for years, training and mentoring and coaching. And I got a contract through Durham University Business School to come and help set up the Richard Branson School of Entrepreneurship in Johannesburg. I had to fly out here a few times per year, and I was doing workshops for small business trainers and the like. And I gradually got to just fall in love with South Africa. Yeah. When I wasn't working in Joburg, I'd fly down to Cape Town with my golf clubs and, come and sit on the beach. And it was I think most people who've been here for the first time will go, wow, I didn't expect it to be like that. So it was an introduction through work. And then in 2000, I got an extended contract to come here and spend 3 months here. And then it turned into a bit of a love story from that point onwards. Really? I'd already fallen in love with South Africa, but I met my wife to be, who's still my wife, in Cape Town. She's Fantastic. German by birth, and she was on holiday here, and we kind of met, and we had a long distance relationship for a while. She kept flying out here. We eventually settled back in the UK for 3 years, but we couldn't get Africa out of our system. So that kind of love story brought us back here, really. And when I look back now, it was, from a financial perspective and a logical perspective, who knows, was it the right decision? But from an adventure perspective, and it was right for us, and we haven't regretted a minute of it. We love it here, we really do.
Well, from an adventure perspective, you're in the right business, aren't you? Talk to me about the business. Concepts Collection, it's not a single focus business like you might find with some other DMCs. So give us some insight into how it's shaped.
Okay, I think really it's just an extension of the love story, really, in some ways, an extension of the personalities of Christina and I. We knew we wanted to settle here. We knew that we had a skill set in terms of the hospitality industry, and we wanted to create something a bit bespoke that would really talk of world-class style and sophistication at a time in South Africa where it was opening up to the tourist market in a big way for the first time. And we saw a niche that to bring that world-class standard of service and sophistication and style into the African environment and create an inbound business that would share the experiences and love for Africa that we had with our clients. So talking from a very personal experience and a passion for the country, and creating experiences for corporates and private individuals to come to Africa. That's how it all started, and that really remains a philosophy today. Really, it hasn't changed. We do a number of big destination weddings into Africa from around the world per year. Wow. And we've still got 24 projects on our books to date through the pandemic. They're all being shifted like everywhere else, but we've got some very big things. For some reason, South Africa and Southern Africa have become a great destination for weddings. Why not?
Yeah, I can't think of any of those reasons, sort of the big five, safaris, lodges, winelands, why would anybody want to come?
Absolutely. So Wedding Concepts, yes, is a separate division. But of course, we do events across the spectrum, and you can't go and talk to a corporate client through a wedding brand. So, Event Concepts became our corporate facing arm. And in effect, many of the teams supporting those businesses are the same behind the scenes, but the brands face a different client base and talk uniquely to that client base. And then what we have is a separate travel company that sits in the middle of those two companies. We welcome somewhere in the region of 4,000 visitors a year that will come to one of our weddings or events from around the world. We know that most of those stay between 7 and 10 nights for an African holiday. So our travel company works with the individual brands to support their guests and the clients with African adventures.
So looking at those three brands, we know that events and to a large extent weddings will have suffered massively over the last year. What about the travel side of things? What's really kept you going through the pandemic?
Okay, professionally, without a shadow of doubt, it's really clear to us, and I think most people would say on the eventing side, the corporate side specifically, that has flatlined a hell of a lot. However, on the private eventing side, it's much more resilient. We're still having very positive conversations. People want to keep coming here and getting married. They don't want to cancel their wedding. Yes, they're postponing it and pushing it down the line, but we're still very, very busy, and we're still getting lots of enquiries in that marketplace. So, there seems to be, where there's emotional attachment to a very special event, there's a bit of resilience around this market, I think.
So what's it been like during the pandemic in South Africa? Has it been the work that's kept you going, or on the private travel side?
Yeah. Let me be kind of personally really honest here, Rich, and kind of, let's strip out some of the ego. And I'd be really dishonest if I said there haven't been some dark moments, really.
Yeah.
And you will know the same. I've built a business up with my wife and team for 17 years. Mm-hmm. That's our pension.
Yeah.
We wanted to realize some value out of that. And the fact that suddenly, is there a business to sell anymore? Mm. Yeah. And when you go to the dark places, you think, wow, that's kind of, can I realize something from this? It's almost like my baby's been taken away in some ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to, that's the extreme. You have to take a sense of perspective, don't you? And I think it's important not to kind of read every news story or be on Facebook 24 hours a day and reading all the sensational stuff that's around, because that can take you even further.
Absolutely.
So I think the strength of my relationship with my team and my wife, and the fact that we meet and talk regularly, and I can go for walks with the dogs, I can go up the mountain, I can play a bit of golf, I can go out into the sunshine and meditate. It's been really kind of helpful.
Absolutely.
So I have had to put some time and effort into working on myself, and just having different conversations with the industry instead of trying to sell and market. Be a bit concerned, be a bit more personal, and talk to our venues and our suppliers and our industry partners from a different place, which is about how you're doing, and just kind of empathize and self-support each other. I think is
having these sort of conversations, maybe.
Without a shadow of doubt. And I've joined a few networks where I'm regularly in touch with some of our event agency partners in the UK and beyond, and the same with the wedding partners, and just talking. And you realize by doing that, we're all in the same boat. Yeah. We're all having the same dark thoughts. Mm-hmm. We're all having the same hysteria at times. We're all having the same balanced thoughts at other times, and being able to share that is a real kind of supportive network, I think. Let's face it, I'd much rather be sat with you in a bar in Mykonos, watching the sun go down, with a few of the other boys and having a beer and talking about it. But
we'll be making that happen.
Yeah, I honestly believe, and I hope, that there's a different level of human consciousness now starting to emerge, which has got implications for us in our industry, but also as a society. I think if we don't take advantage of that, then it'll be a sad day.
Yeah, do you know, I was going to come on to later, but actually I think that as people, we generally have short memories, particularly when we get busy. If you cast your mind back to 2019, we were probably, all of us in this industry, flat out busy with making things happen. Yet even back then, the world of corporate social responsibility and sustainability was pushing its head above the parapet in terms of it being a conscious decision people were making. As we move beyond the pandemic, do you expect to see more programs either with CSR elements or even programs being built around CSR activities being created in your neck of the woods, in your world?
Yeah, I think there's a need for it to happen.
Okay.
And I think it's got to happen from a real place, from a heart place. And I think you can't live in Africa and not have social responsibility at the front of your mind all the time, because we live in a polarized society where there's a very few people with everything and lots of people with hardly anything. And you see it every single day here. From the moment you leave your house, it's here. So it has to be a part of life here. And to be fair, it's something that we don't just talk about, we have to live, because we do it in our own business. We support a whole range of different things that we can bring back into our client experience. So yeah, I totally agree, but it has to come from a real place. This isn't just a program to satisfy an incentive to tick a box. This has got to come, it's got to really come from the heart of the client and ourselves. And I think projects that link back into funding things like, ecotourism or wildlife conservation have to be part of every kind of experience here now.
Absolutely. It kind of brings me into something that I know you've spoken in the past about. You have a strong belief in personalisation and a unique signature when it comes to delivering luxury events, and I wanted to ask you really what that means to you in the context of what you do, every day.
Okay. I mean, this is coming from the heart of who myself and my wife are, I guess, but it might sound a bit glib. I don't want it to, but we try to make sure that whether it's a private client or a corporate client, we get to the very, very essence quickly of that client and that personality and what switches them on. And we try and make sure or what their story is really, and try and incorporate that story into every single element of the event. Because it's important. Yeah. It's important to them. They're coming to Africa for a reason and spending a lot of money and time and effort to bring guests to Africa. So they want to express themselves in a way that is unique and exciting to their guests. So we've got to really try and understand that and interpret it and incorporate it into everything that we do. It may be anything from bringing in international entertainers from around the world into Africa on a large scale. It may well be just some of the sweating the small stuff, the small touches that make all the difference. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense. And it really leans into an area around the power of DMC creativity. We kind of spent a lot of time looking at DMCs, talking to different DMCs about the power of creativity and about the importance of the relationship between the DMC and the agency, and that you had some thoughts on that when we were doing that series of features last year. Going forward, as we kind of move beyond COVID, do you see that growing in importance?
Yeah, okay. From a personal perspective, not for us, because it's always been at the forefront of what we do.
Okay, yeah.
I think because I can't see it any other way. I can't see how receiving a brief from an agency that you've never worked with before, that you don't understand, who don't understand you, with no budget in it, and a very kind of loose brief and say, you've got until tomorrow morning to... But it happens. We know it happens. Yeah, we know it happens. Yeah. And there's some agencies out there who are like that, and there's some DMCs who aren't very good with what they do. But for me, I have to really understand who I'm talking to, what their philosophy is, what they're trying to achieve. Can we work together first? Forget this project. Can we work together? Do our values ring true? This is about going beyond the first date, isn't it? And establishing some foundation for who you are and what this relationship is about. And I think the more you spend time doing that, then the projects slot easily into some sort of rhythm, because there's a trust, there's an integrity, and there's a willingness to share things. Yeah. The more we spend time working on the relationship, the better the result will be.
I always think the greater the transparency, the more effective and the more personalised the event delivery is going to be.
Absolutely. And in some ways, Rich, that's why things for me in places like inVOYAGE have become the key events, because that allows the relationship to build even further. Yeah. That's why we go. We're not going to sell specifically. We're doing it subtly. We're about developing the relationships even further.
So look, I know you're into your golf. What's have you been able to keep that up during the pandemic, and what's the situation like right now in South Africa?
So we've just come, I think we're on level 2. As I said to you earlier, that we our infection rates now came down to less than 1,000 per day yesterday for the first time. Yeah. Our recovery rate's 94%, and our life here is relatively free. For instance, this morning I was up at 6. I went for a walk around the mountains where I live. Took the dogs for a walk. This weekend, myself and my wife are travelling up the garden route. We're going up to Nysen, and we're going to go and play some golf on Isle with some friends, and we're going to do some wine drinking and just relaxing. So the life's fairly open. Coffee shops are open, restaurants are open, beaches are open. People are generally wearing masks and distancing, and society seems to be kind of coping okay. I don't think we're out of the woodwork yet. We're preparing for a third wave in our winter. And our vaccinations perhaps are not being run out as quickly as we'd hoped, but it is starting now. It started last week. And let's just hope that in a few months' time, we're not talking about COVID every single minute of the day. It's not dominating our lives. It's not dominating our conversation. We can start to open minds to other things.
If all being well, September is where you would hope to see some of the big events.
Our season starts really in essence in around October time. So October till May would probably be our main season. And I think if we can be open by then, and there's every indication that we possibly can be, if there's not a big third wave, that's what the government are planning for, that there shouldn't be borders open, flights started, and people will be able to come in larger numbers.
Absolutely. So what are you most looking forward to as we are able to, all being well, wave this pandemic goodbye?
Not talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing. I think personally feeling that a little bit that the shackles might be off. There's a bit more freedom to move and to think and to travel. I haven't seen my mum now back in the north of England for nearly 18 months, and she's 85, and normally she's across here for 3 months of the year to stay with us, and then so I'm longing to do some of that personal reconnection again and to travel. I mean, that's the essence of a lot of us in our industry. We travel. That's our passion, and be able to do that and take in new things and new scenery and new perspectives.
Yeah, well, we'll have to make sure that beer in Mykonos is kept cold for us to the end of September.
That's what's keeping a lot of us going, I think.
All right, buddy. Well, look, it's been absolutely brilliant talking with you. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts and what's been going on in your world. As ever, been an absolute pleasure. So great chatting with you.
Cheers, Rich, and you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and Debbie and all the guys in September, hopefully.
Definitely. All right.